Titties.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever podcast of the channel, as voted by you guys on the community. 4 vote. Let me just check real quick how many votes we had for yes and if we even had any votes for no. So
I'm guessing there's only going to be one vote.
There's one vote for no and 5 votes for yes. 5 because I asked Thomas on the off screen, and since he can't really use since he can't really go on community polls for YouTube because he's underaged, then he just told me the answer. Yes, he wants to see podcasts.
Did the audience really need to know that?
Not really, but why the hell not?
Because that's how you lose viewers. Anyway, so what are we discussing? What are we going to be doing in this podcast? Oh wait, first introduction. So as you all know, I say channel regular, but I've only put out like 2 videos, not counting this one, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, but I want to say, I guess, channel regular, Hayden Fagan, aka King Hayden. Please respect the title. Yes, that does sound arrogant. I'm not sorry.
And
my main question.
honestly, if anyone even had anything to complain about your name, then just look at my channel's name, which is my ruler's persona name.
Yeah, and also Ethan does refer to himself as the Bumble King. By the way, I actually have listened to his podcast, the Bumblecast. It's actually quite nice. He does actually talk about Sonic quite frequently, ask various questions about it. He does some various other things depending on your taste. So if you're not a fan of his Sonic writing, but a fan of some of his other works, you can go over to his podcast and actually have a looky-loo.
Well, you heard it. You can go check out this channel if you want to see some more podcasts, even if it isn't from us.
Yes. So please watch this until the very end. Tiago needs the money.
Yep.
Anyways.
So, I think we should discuss a bit about the rulers first, and also about the little thing I've been shown, the things I've been showing you, the little spoilers.
Yes, so as for what the rulers are, it is essentially me taking my delusions to reality. Okay. The rulers is essentially just what we call ourselves, so we just kind of spun that off into a little fantasy where we just pretend to be a trio. Think the V's if they were less sinners and more just random people on Earth.
Yeah, that pretty much describes it.
Yeah. Why we came up with this, I can't remember for the life of me.
But hey, it's done. What's done is done, and well, we just gotta roll with it now.
Yep. Yeah, so let's pretend we're Sonic the Hedgehog for an hour. Speaking of Sonic, actually, no, you want things to talk about first, so sorry. Let's get through these little spoilers you've been sending me.
So,
this is your podcast after all.
Yeah, and so I've been sending Hayden here some spoilers for something I'm planning for this channel, something big actually. And while it's not necessarily ready yet, it's on the way. I already got I have a good idea of what is going to happen next.
If you're all confused, I'll give you a teensy little hint. Entertainment has been doing the same thing. Hey, if you don't know who Mob Entertainment is, look it up. Google exists.
Yeah. And so, I have been preparing this in advance because for it to actually release, I still gotta introduce some characters that are going to be important for the story.
Yes. Is that it?
I also actually have a couple of questions. I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So, about this little spoiler, who knows? Maybe you're going to be hinting at something here. I do love to see some. I do want to see someone try to theorize about this.
Okay, so what are these questions you want to ask?
So, for image number 4 that I sent you, I want to ask, when a certain character says, "It's finally ready," what do you think he might be referring to?
Page 4, let's see. Was this the one you sent me on Monday?
Yes, it is. The first ever set of images I sent you about this specific thing.
So considering that the character is wearing a top hat, and that's usually what your character wears, I'm assuming it's either for another member of the ruler, potentially me or Patrick, or this is a character you've come up with. But is that, at least that's what I'm getting from this.
Well, that's actually me talking. I just haven't colored it in. And as for the question of what do you think he's referring to when he says it's ready, it's finally ready?
Yeah, but that says for my arrival, so...
Yes, however, he does hint at something that he's been preparing for a while now.
So some sort of like invasion type thing? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's actually something that I really wanted to have this character say, honestly, so... Plus, I mean, I am planning on giving him something he's going to use to his advantage in later comics.
Gotcha. Yeah. Is there any more questions, or is that it?
So, there's one character in... whoops. There is one character in one of the last images I've sent you.
Let's see.
Well, actually, he's been in basically every single one of the images, but I'm just talking about his actions in the final image I've sent you, for now at least. So, this character, which is gonna remain mysterious to the public because I haven't introduced him yet. So we've got 2 of our characters here that I've already introduced, Team Skyme and João Calvo, John Bald, basically. A Brazilian version of myself, a Brazilian character I've created, and they're together with this third character, and they're running away from Emperor Tiago. However, after they manage to escape, this third character ends up leaving. After he leaves, the other 2 say that he will return. Do you think he will? Considering his dialogue throughout this image.
I'm not quite sure, honestly. I mean, it's a strong possibility, but like any character who makes a random disappearance, it could just be that they were killed off screen. I mean, after all, that's kind of what happens with a good chunk of characters.
Yeah. He may or he may not return later. But I can say one thing. Every single one of the characters that are going to be introduced in this comic are going to be relevant, at least at one point in the series.
Just asking, is all of these questions going to be about your comic?
No. That was actually the last one.
Okay. Okay, so next question, please.
So, moving on, we actually have a platypus to talk about.
I know 2 platypuses, so you'll have to be specific.
We have a certain genius doctor to talk about.
Of course. So, ask away then, my good man.
So, I think it's pretty clear to both. I think it's getting pretty clear to both of us in the IDW Sonic Comics, which, for those who don't know, is a comic series that Sega has been making of the Sonic cast.
Well, actually, IDW has been the one making it. Sega's been giving them the license. Yeah. And also, just gonna say, spoiler warning for those who have not read or caught up with the most recent issues. You've been warned.
Yeah. If you don't want to be spoiled, leave now, and then come back to this video.
Yeah.
So, did you leave?
If you want. No? Okay. Or if you're looking for tips on where to find it, I recommend going to Game Apologist, the Sonic speed rating videos, for a quick, healthy recap.
I'm gonna leave this, and I'm gonna leave his channel in the description of this video.
Quick tangent, real quick. I also recommend watching his Mecha March Madness videos. I truly do love the insane detail he goes into the Sonic robots, especially some of my favorites like the Mecha Sonic scene in Sonic Adventure 2, the Chaos and Grim Sonic from Sonic Prime, and just a few other small little bit robots that have scared here and there. Really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it actually is.
Yeah. Anyways, as for your question...
So, lately, we've been having this theory that he's going to return from the dead. And honestly, it's looking pretty increasingly like it.
I'm shocked if it wasn't, honestly.
Yeah. So, how do you think he's going to make his grand reveal?
It depends on if this mystery cloaked figure is Starline. Well, we know... Because I do have a small theory that would explain it. I was small... You remember at the end of, I think it was issue 75, the scene where we see a Buzz Bomber spy and Sonic then cut to this villain's lair. The way they talk definitely matches Starline's speech patterns. It feels more than likely.
Yeah.
But then there's something else about the cloaked figure. There is no... they don't talk as much, nor do they have the bravado or grandiose of Starline. Oh, they barely utter a word.
Yeah.
So I have a theory. What if Starline has returned, but he isn't the cloaked figure? What, or at the very least, it isn't entirely him. What if the cloaked figure is the prototype to Kit and Surge?
Oh.
Well, think about it. During the fight while Surge had the Dynamo Cage, the last time she used it, we see a massive room filled with the exact same tubes Starline held Kit and Surge in. And something I
Yeah.
also realized is like how Gerald didn't immediately just come up with Shadow on the first go and create an Ultimate Life Form, Starling couldn't have created Kit and Surge perfectly. That's impossible.
True.
So it's possible that after the destruction of Egg-Base Sigma, Starline was able to rescue the predecessor to Kit and Surge, and has been using them as his phantom limb. He is unable to collect the emeralds himself, so has been relying on others to do so. Pretty much playing a game of chess, but he can own chess.
Yeah. And this could be the missing Knuckles counterpart.
Yeah, or analog, as he calls them.
Ah.
Yes, he actually did call them that in I think his second episode in the Bumblecast. Which, by the way, if you want my recommendation for Bumblecast episodes, go for the guest ones, especially the Starline ones. Those are very interesting.
Yeah. They indeed are.
There's only one problem with this theory being when Sonic unmasks the cloaked figure, and this actually, in my opinion, debunks the theory that's a new character. He's shocked, but knows who it is.
True.
He's about to say their name, then bam. He suddenly can't remember the code.
Exactly.
So, one, this is the person Sonic does recognize, which means it is a potential that my theory is wrong and that this isn't a prototype to Kit and Surge that Starline's using as a phantom limb. And two, it debunks the theory because if this was a new original character, Sonic wouldn't be shocked. He'd be confused. He'd just be saying, "Who is this guy?" Or
yeah. However, Sonic seems to recognize him, and then one snap of the fingers later, Sonic just seemed to forget.
Not to mention, Starling is the only real character who we've seen who has the potential to wipe someone's memories.
Exactly.
So granted, that would be with his glove, which he lost after his fight with Eggman in the Imperial City.
However, we do have to remember that this takes a long time after that battle, and Starling could have easily just built another one, or made another one.
Exactly. True, or potentially, and this is a theory I have, it could have been potentially he's been using these Badnik parts he's been stealing to repair and upgrade his body.
Ooh.
That would explain why he's wearing a mask. It could be that he could be like a Darth Vader situation. It's not because he's trying to hide his identity, it's because he needs it. His body is damaged, so he's using the emerald as a way to restore himself. Maybe even improve his original body. Not to mention, this would also explain, this is the one problem with your theory that he made another glove. Why the sports pick then? Why the Sonic Boom cosplay?
Yeah. Obviously, it would be harder for someone to suspect Starling with that look, but still.
Yeah. I also think to a certain degree, the mask though also explains why they're hiding their face. Again, if this was a new character, the mask seems semi-pointless. Unless they're doing kind of like a Jason Todd Red Hood kind of thing where they're trying to maintain a double life. But even then, but if it's Starline, it does make more sense. The thing is, it kind of has to be Starline because when you view it through the lens, almost everything this guy does make sense.
Yeah. Like, Starline, let's be honest, would be the type of guy that would try to steal Eggman tech.
He's literally done it in the past, even giving them a new paint job and everything.
Yeah, and if he was able to, and honestly, him stealing Metal Sonic, sure, while it might sound a bit far-fetched, anyone stealing Metal Sonic is kind of far-fetched. It's Metal Sonic!
Yeah, it's happened a shocking amount of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still, like, every time Eggman just rebuilds this robot again and again.
Yeah?
You'd think Eggman would have put some better security on Metal Sonic, honestly.
Now, in fairness, the last time he tried to improve Metal Sonic's AI, it led to that Neo Metal situation.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's also another thing. Ian Flynn has stated on the Bumblecast that he does not want Kit and Surge to get a redemption arc. And the reasoning I kind of agree with when it comes to Surge, being that her refusal to process or deal with that trauma in any real meaningful or constructive way kind of adds to her selfishness. The problem is Surge was a victim, but now she's become an abuser.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another theory that I'll get to later. But the reason why I say this whole no redemption thing makes sense for her and only her is because I don't get the sense Kid is like that. Surge, yeah, I definitely understand why Ian wouldn't want to give her redemption because deep down, she is not a good person. She's a narcissistic poser trying to be like Sonic while not understanding the basic fundamentals of being a hero. Yep. She's doing it for the glitz and glamour. Sonic does it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And while at times he can get a bit annoying.
Yeah, but in fairness, that's just human nature. We all get annoying. Surge is constantly annoying.
True.
Anyways, Kid, actually, again, spoilers for recent issues, because these ones delve specifically into very specific character moments, particularly Kid. But anyways, it is, again, we see him set up scenarios where Surge looks good, where Surge can be the hero and he is the assistant. And I get this, but something I do think is that if you actually take Surge out of the equation, Kid will become a much better and, dare I say, stable person.
True. I mean,
because that is part of the problem. He's an enabler. He's enabling Surge's delusions that he is this misunderstood hero, when in actuality she's kind of like Infinite. I'll get to that another time.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I get that Starline was the one who basically wired into Kid's brain that he has to defend Surge.
But the thing is, Starline's currently going through a, how do I put this? A gothic resurrection phase, I guess you could say.
Yep. And at the moment, he doesn't seem to be interested in Kit and Surge.
Because, let's face it, they're not useful to him. And he really knows that they're going to kill him the moment he tries to make any attempt to rebuild their alliance.
Yeah.
There ain't no way. Which leads me to my personal theory on who Kid and Surge were. Exactly the same, minus the powers. I actually theorize that the reason why Kid and Surge are the way they are, the reason why their friendship is so toxic, the reason why Surge is such a narcissist, isn't because Starline tried to mimic Sonic and Tails' personalities, because I realized that nothing in the comic, at least to my memory, indicates this. Starline rewrote their personalities.
True. We only see him brainwashing Kid and Surge to act as to
hate Sonic.
Yeah. Starline wires Surge's brain to hate Sonic, and he wires Kid's brain to follow Surge.
Which means naturally she'll have have Kit go after Tails. So there's no need to program the hatred, as all that is from Surge. But the point I want to make is, what if the reason why Starlight chose them specifically was because in his mind, they matched his version, what he thought Sonic and Tails were like. Surge matches against Starlight's perception of Sonic. Cocky, arrogant, and a rebellious troublemaker.
True.
And the same goes for Kit. A subservient, emotionally stunted, almost cowardly sidekick.
Yeah.
This would also again explain why their friendship, well, I would say friendship, but let's face it, it's completely one-sided, is so toxic. It's because Starlight chose people who matched his perceptions of Sonic and Tails individually, but not as a pairing.
Yeah.
This would actually explain a lot, and would also explain why no one has recognized Kid Surge. It's probably because people didn't like Surge even before the powers, and then no one really knew who Kit was prior to Starlight.
True. And maybe it could be that Starlight went to Kit and Surge's parents, if they were even alive at that point, and used his glove to make them forget, which would explain why they didn't go after them.
True, or potentially they were also lab rats.
Yeah.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think this actually does explain why, again, Kid and Surge behave the way they do. It's because Starlight picked people who matched his perception of the duo. He just forgot the fact is that their friendship is built on respect, trust, and years worth of teamwork. Kid and Surge's bond is born through experimentation, forced cooperation, and tons of brainwashing.
Yeah. And
that's why. Oh, sorry.
Also, let's be honest, Tails defused a bomb in the middle of a city.
That had also crash landed into the side of a building.
Yep.
The very top of the building.
Also,
let's not forget. Sorry, you go first.
I guess Starlight never seen Tails flying a plane, because the way he flies it, you wouldn't have guessed that he was a coward.
I think what I meant by coward is that he doesn't stand up to Sonic.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I just wanted to add that in.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I do think to a certain extent, again, this also might be why Starlight hasn't attempted to go back to Kit and Surge. It's because in his mind they're failed experiments. He tried, he failed, back to the drawing board.
Yep. Now I'm just wondering why he needed Tails' fur.
That is actually a good question. This did fuel my theory that potentially their Kit and Surge didn't have a past prior to Starlight, that he just created them from scratch. But when I tried thinking about it, I realized Starlight doesn't have the resources to create someone like Gerald and Errol did with Shadow.
Yeah.
Not to mention, nothing indicates Starlight's studies indicate anything about biology. It's mostly mechanics and a little bit of archaeology.
True.
So the problem is, how can Kit and Surge be genetic creations of Starlight if A, Starlight doesn't have the resources necessary to create them, and B, he probably doesn't even have any real experience in that area.
True. The only real way you could see it is if Starlight had convinced Eggman to help him start this project to counter Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, except the problem is Eggman doesn't have any experiences in biology or genetics either.
Yeah,
Eggman is a mechanical engineer and an archaeologist, but that's really it.
true. And while he was able to
And yet,
copy Sonic and some of the others as robots before, they were
he
robots.
has. Yeah, and even then, in cases like the Shadow Androids, that's because he had unfiltered access to an unconscious shadow.
True.
Now, beings like Metal Sonic were created off of battle data that does make it limited in terms of scope.
Yeah. Also, Starline would need loyal servants to him, who would also need to have some kind of hatred for Eggman already, considering he also wanted to overthrow Eggman, even if it was temporary at first.
Yeah.
You were saying something actually?
No, it's not important. So I'm also going to admit something. This isn't news to you, but it's going to be news to our listeners. Do you really think Kid and Surge are the worst IDW characters? Yes, I said it. They're Surges. She's worse than Rough and Tumble, worse than Belle, worse than Lanolin. Because they just find her to be loud, annoying, and most importantly, the most redundant character in the entire book. Because she's nothing but a Frankenstein's of past rivals. Well, she's got the existential dread of Shadow, the imposter syndrome and hatred of Sonic from Metal Sonic, the green punk rock attitude of Scourge, and I know her green fur is because of Ashura the Hedgehog. It's the same thing with Scourge, so technically my point still stands, and even then there are the similarities.
Yeah.
And also, I tolerate her just as much as I tolerated Chaos Sonic. But at least with Chaos Sonic, I grew to like him. Urge, I'm gonna dunk in a bathtub and hope to God she short circuits.
Seriously. And that almost happened, actually.
Yeah, too bad too bad she didn't go through with it.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are actually fans of Kid and Surge, or at least Surge, good for you. You clearly see something in the character I don't. So then please tell me, what is it?
Yeah, like, I seriously don't get it.
What is so appealing about this character? Oh, she's so relatable. She's a narcissist. And here's the thing. Ian Flynn knows this for a fact because he stayed on the Bumblecast. Just because they've been dealt a bad hand, don't mean they get to behave the way they do. You're not supposed to look at them and go, "Oh, those poor lost souls." You're supposed to go look at them and say, "Wow, what assholes!" Or at least, "Wow, she's a bitch."
Yeah, same thing goes for two other characters actually that I can think of from the top of my head. Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus, and Alistair from Hazbin Hotel.
Yeah, but the difference is, though, is that unlike those two, they're not redundant. They're not a combination of past Sonic rivals who either are way better in terms of writing or are just forgotten memories. Jax is a cautionary tale about masking. Alistair is a vain prick. But even then, their stories themselves have room to grow, rooms to take unexpected twists.
Exactly.
Surge's story feels like it has been.
And honestly, like, I think they could have actually done a good Jax redemption in the Amazing Digital Circus if they had actually worked on it from the beginning.
Yeah, except the problem is, like, to quote Michael Kovic, it would kind of undermine his story.
Yeah.
And the point of his character. He's a cautionary tale. He's meant to be what Pomni is trying to be. Someone who tries to get into the role, someone who tries to enjoy himself, but what separates them is that Pomni did because she was trying to survive, because she was trying to enjoy herself in this chaotic mess of a world. Jax was doing it because, like Serge, he refused to process the trauma. And that's something they have in common. Both got everything they wanted. Serge got to be free of Starlight, got the chance to be a hero, be loved by millions, to be her own person. Jax Jax now lives in a world where people like him are accepted for who they are. People who will love and care for him unconditionally, and again, will accept him no matter what. But when they got that, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah. Like,
the thing about the stories is that it's not meant to make you sympathize with them. You're meant to understand them. But that's it. You're not meant to sympathize with them. You're not meant to forgive them. You're just meant to go, I get it. But that doesn't make it right.
yep.
Now, here's the thing. Again, if I were in charge of the books, I would write off Serge. But that doesn't mean I'll just write a quick line like, oh yeah, she died of food poisoning or whatever. No, I would give her a proper send-off to you Serge fans. But I would do it in a way where you guys can make interpretations of where she goes next. That being, I would depower her.
Oh. That would be a real hit to her ego.
Yep, and this actually isn't common with another character who I might get to in a bit, but it depends on how this conversation goes. The thing about Serge is that she was essentially just a narcissist she was essentially just a traumatized narcissist who was given way too much power.
Yep.
So what would actually be cool is that in a final fight with Sonic, it doesn't end with a final blaze of glory. It ends with her losing her powers and becoming an ordinary person again. And just because she has cybernetics doesn't mean they're going to do anything.
Yeah.
And at that point, she's an ordinary person. She doesn't have power, she doesn't have speed, and now she doesn't have a crutch. There is nothing to stop the people of the city she's been people she's been quote-unquote saving from just mobbing on her, from just killing her.
Yeah.
Kind of like Kane from Digital Circus, actually, or Alistair. She uses her powers as a way to avoid responsibility, to avoid accountability, because they're essentially talking to a walking lightning storm.
True.
You cannot win a fight against her. The only people that can do that are people like Sonic. And even then, that doesn't mean it's an easy fight. So if you want someone to actually be her in a fight, get Shadow. If you can whoop Sonic back, you can whoop
yeah.
Anyways, again, having her lose her powers will be the ultimate blow to her ego. Meaning, but she doesn't get killed off. She isn't going to be like executed in a prison. She won't go to prison, but it's left for interpretations for the fans on what happens next. That way, you guys can write whatever you want for her. Does she get a redemption arc? Does she stay evil? Does she become potentially a bounty hunter to rely more on external technology? The choice is yours.
Yeah.
Yours. Yours of a wide array, a writing buffet.
I would add one part, though, to that.
Yes?
I would make it so that as soon as we see her in a prison cell, Kit shows up, Serge tries to scream at him to let her out of there, and Kit just goes, "You don't have any more power over me. I have moved on. Do the same."
Actually reminds me of another thing. Why I think Kit is capable of redemption, but Serge isn't. Kit is not motivated by vanity or a very fragile sense of victim or very fragile victim complex, as I call it. The thing about Kit is that he's a codependent person, but a codependency doesn't mean it's inherently a bad thing, because it just means you need to pair them with the right person. Take Harley Quinn from the Harley Quinn TV series. Yes, Harley is very codependent, which means she can be codependent with the wrong person, but if she's able to break out from them, she could find the right person. Codependency can be a bad thing, thing, but they, but there is a chance to turn it into something more bearable if you put them with the better person. That I think is something Kid could do with Lunar. Once again, spoilers for the recent issues. If you've read the Circus City arc, as I call it, or the Stage is Set arc, you know about Lunar, or Eclipse, whatever. I'm just gonna call them Lunar, because that's the only name I remember. Their parents were demanding, to put it lightly. They're pretty much, they got a bit of a superiority complex, and they are theater kids. He's also gender fluid, whatever that means. So pretty much he knows what it's like to be around someone who is a bit caught up, but is a bit stuck up and demanding. Meaning that if Kid could meet Lunar, he could actually realize that he doesn't need to stick around Surge, because Lunar, having been in a similar situation, could teach him how to be a better person.
Yeah. And actually, Kid being... I think they were actually starting to go in that direction before they decided... I think they were actually planning originally to have Kid redeem himself by siding with Sonic against Surge, after seeing the destruction she caused, and after being in the care of a loving family, basically, under Sonic, Tails, and Bell.
Yeah, except here's the thing, that is the problem. They didn't really talk to him that much. They didn't try to really form a connection. They didn't know the situation that well. They just assumed he was doing all that willingly, not because of any hard-programmed personality that Sonic put in.
True.
But now that they do, they could see what it's truly like and try to have Kid be around people who could actually be his friends, and not when he believes he needs to be around.
Yes. And actually, it would be even pretty fun. It would be even funnier if, after Kid leaves Surge for good and to rot in her prison cell, Lunar shows up and just starts mocking Surge for being too harsh on Kid.
I think instead he would just make a look like a loser sign or something like that. Like, essentially just make a face and walk away. Because first of all, he's still a child, but I think one of the reasons why Kid and Lunar could work out is because Lunar is a very big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. And the idea of him actually having his very own Tails would be the dream come true. He is becoming more and more like his hero. But appreciate if we could see a fanboy Shadow or someone other than the Blue Boy, but hey, a guy can dream.
Yeah.
Anyways, where was I? Oh, yes. Anyways, I feel like Luna will understand this is something Kid needs to do. He doesn't need to get involved. Not to mention, there's a good chance these two aren't going to interact that much anyways.
Yeah.
And again, that is how I would handle Surge's character, though. So, have her be depowered and forced to just be an ordinary person again, to admit to everyone to hopefully admit to herself she is not good enough to be a hero and not bad enough to be a villain. She is nothing but chaos. And not even she can do that.
Yeah. And honestly, that might be the best ending for Surge's character.
Yes, and before any of you listeners ask, no, I would not have her returned or anything like that, nor would I introduce any more Sonic rivals. I am not.
Yeah, no. the Blue Boy already has enough.
We peaked with Shadow, and Jet is a funny little joke of a rival. That is it.
Yeah.
We don't need any more. He has 4 rivals. 4, if you don't count ones like Mecha Sonic, Chaos, and Grim Sonic, Johnny from Sonic Rush, or any of the different rivals from from Archie, Fleetway, and God knows what else.
Yeah.
He has enough rivals. Let's give some to the other. Let's give some rivals to, say, Amy and Knuckles.
Yeah. And honestly, that's actually kind of similar to the way we said we would write Alistair's defeat in season 3 of Has-Been. How we would write it when it happens.
The only difference is it'd be a public humiliation ritual.
Yeah. So, for those who are confused right now, we talked a lot about how we thought season 3 could go of Has-Been Hotel, and our theory, the way we would write Alistair's defeat, since I think it's kind of obvious that the guy is going to be the villain of season 3.
Yep.
Would be that Lucifer would get the sinner, the not harming sinners ban lifted off of him by Sarah.
Or at the very least would realize there are other ways of attacking a sinner, not directly.
Yep. And with a bit of help from a certain TV headman, Vox, who would film the entire thing, Alistair and Lucifer would fight, only for Lucifer to just basically, not even sweat or not even get a bit of dust on him by Alistair's attacks.
And again, pretty much turn their big climactic fight into one massive humiliation ritual.
Yep. And then, when Alistair is defeated, back at the bar where his entire Alistair-Vox rivalry began, Vox would jump in and do the final blow to Alistair's ego.
By not saying a damn thing.
He would just look at Alistair and walk away.
Because he finally realizes what everyone else couldn't. What everyone else did. Alistair is a guy.
Yep.
He's not some deity. He's not some celestial being beyond even the powers of Lucifer. He's just a prick who cheated his way to the top.
Yep. And honestly, I think Rosie would join in on the Alistair humiliation squad, as I'm gonna be calling them. You know, just to get back at Alistair for breaking their deal.
Yep. And also potentially realizing that she's enabled a sociopathic narcissist, says that maybe feels a coach responsible.
Yeah. I could just imagine, Rosie just laughing at Alistair in the background as he's just calling out to Vox trying to taunt him.
Meanwhile, Vox just walks away like a disappointed parent.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's a fitting end for the character.
Yeah, because again, deep down, Alistair will never change. The quote moral from Ninjago, you can only save those who want to be saved.
And Alistair does not.
His ego won't allow it. In his mind, going for redemption means he's lost.
Yeah. And that might be his doom, honestly.
And let's face it, he treats loss.
And yeah, I mean, and also it would be a good way to prove finally that Alistair's a fraud.
Because he kind of always was. Because, like Kane from Digital Circus, he uses his powers as a crutch to avoid any real responsibility or accountability for his actions, uses it as an excuse to be a hypocritical douchebag who treats others in the exact same way he says he doesn't want to be treated, and biggest one of all, uses it because he treats respect as something you were just given, not something you have to earn.
And also, the fact is that without his powers, he is weak. He cannot win a fist fight.
I hear people say, "Oh, Alistair getting out of his deal shows how smart he is." No, most of that deal was just dumb luck. And he got that luck. Luckily, Charlie showed up to the party. Luckily, Vox actually fell for the manipulation. Lucky enough that Vox didn't just gag him for the rest of the season and throw him in some set dungeon. Lucky enough that he didn't just feed him to Shockwave. Lucky enough that Charlie just didn't run away from the party. Or lucky enough that Vaggie didn't talk her out of going to the party. Lucky enough that the deal description was so vague that it actually worked in his favor. Because here's the thing. The term "put your hands on Charlie Morningstar" now it could mean that the deal's broken when Vox is touching her, not when he has laid his hands on her, meaning the moment he takes them off,
he should be back in the chair.
Yeah, which means Alistair's whole mastermind scheme falls apart because it's dumb luck.
Yeah.
He's not some brilliant, he's not some scheming genius, he's not some all-powerful deity. He's a dickhead. He's a schmo, a schmutz, a nothing, a Hoiberg McGoiberg. He is nothing but a bratty, narcissistic, hypocritical, cowardly prick.
Yeah, and I mean, look at all the times Alistair's had to fight someone in a fist fight or close-hand combat. Adam?
Never.
One hit from Adam almost killed the guy.
And
Valentino, the guy humiliated him by punching him in his stomach.
Yep. And the moment Alistair realizes, holy crap, there are actual stakes in the fight, I could lose, he immediately dips out because he'd rather be seen as a coward than be seen as a weakling.
Yep.
Because in his mind, a coward, who's gonna care? He could just write it off as strategic retreat. But a weakling, that's harder to deny.
Yeah. And with his track record of close-hand combats,
which is pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Except for the feats. Also, I hear a lot of people saying like, but Alistair was so strong. He was handling a 3v1 against the V's while being injured and with low powers. However, if you really look back at that fight, you will notice that Alistair was retreating the entire fight and sending his shadow minions and tendrils. And then,
which is what he does in most fights anyway.
Exactly. And then, when he's in trouble, Husker and Nifty arrive and save him.
Well, here's the thing. Alistair being depowered doesn't make the V's look weaker. It shows what Alistair is. Mm-hmm. Without the powers, he is not a fighter. He is a scrawny prick. The fact is that it shows how competent the V's are as actual fighters. It works. Alistair's powers are a crutch because he doesn't have to work down there. He doesn't actually he doesn't actually have to work for anyone's respect, because in his mind, I'm a mixed race child in the 1930s. I've done enough working. I've done enough hard work to earn your respect. Just give it to me already. He's a prick, and he likely would use his pain as an excuse to justify that mindset. But like with Serge, like with Jack, pain does not invalidate pain. Everyone down there has a soft story.
Yeah. And honestly, like, the more, and in the final battle between Alistair and Vox, Alistair keeps mentioning how Vox is useless without the V's and how Vox always needs help. However, what's the first thing Alistair does in the final battle against Vox? Sends his shadow minions at Vox.
No. And those minions only come from the powers that Rosie gave to him.
Yeah, and he could only be freed because of the deal that he made with Charlie.
Yes.
And honestly, like, a lot of the things that happened for Vox's defeat were luck based.
Yeah. Look, Vixie Pop is a good writer. I've seen a lot of her work, and Hazbin Hotel was a good show.
Yeah.
But so much of this is just BS.
And, like, I'm gonna mention an example of another villain that was way smarter than the heroes and died because of some lucky events. However, it's Star Wars related. I'm gonna be talking about the Chiss Admiral, Grand Admiral Thrawn. The guy was a genius. He basically, like, outsmarted the rebellion in every way possible. However, they made it so that they showed that he could make mistakes. And they showed the reason, and they actually developed on the reasons why he lost to the rebellion in the end. They showed the rebellion causing distrust between the Grand Admiral's personal bodyguards, and revealing the Empire's deception to them, which made them hate the Grand Admiral, which led to his inevitable death. They also showed what made him feel so distracted that he lost control of the battle, which is the rebel attack on his cloning facilities, which led to him being distracted enough for Rook, his bodyguard, to kill him in the back, stab him in the back, killing him for good. And even before that, they showed that he made mistakes. He wasn't always right in everything he did. And he wasn't... Every single one of his miscalculations was a stepping stone to his inevitable defeat. However, with Vox, in Hazbin Hotel Season 2, he just kept winning and winning and winning. They never really showed a miscalculation on his part, aside from the whole Alistair thing. And they never even really showed how Charlie's plan could have worked. Like, realistically. Because, sure, that she could prove redemption was possible, but what the hell does that matter anymore? The sinners want to kill all angels. They want payback. They don't want redemption. So why would showing them that redemption is possible change anything?
Not to mention, it seemed more likely that Vox's defeat was going to come at the hands of the V's, or Velvet Valentino, not because of Charlie, which I think would have been a more satisfying ending. They're the reasons he lost. Also, at the very least, that his ego and his obsession with Alistair was what caused the wedge to grow between them and what caused their team to fall apart.
Yeah. And it would also be cool to see, like, Vox miscalculate on something sometimes, or Vox actually lose a bit sometimes, because it would have been better for his defeat, because you wouldn't have felt like he just kept winning and his defeat was kind of nonsensical. since, you know, he's been winning the entire season. They should have showed us throughout the season some kind of foreshadowings to Vox's defeat, like small victories by Charlie and their group, which inevitably led to the greater victory over Vox.
So, hate to make it to Tiago, but we've been doing this podcast for at least over an hour now. I think it's time to wrap things up.
Yeah.
So you can just stop the recording, upload the video, give it whatever fancy schmancy title you want. Because again, we've been doing this for almost an hour straight.
Yeah. So that is it for this first podcast. If you guys enjoyed and want to see more of this, comment down below. Like, seriously, just comment down below my videos, please. For the love of God, you people.
Jesus Christ, Micah. My best friend's with Tiago Ferrari, or the vegan teacher with a praise kink. Sorry for my co-host's desperation. In seriousness, do comment on the videos, and if you have any questions to ask us down below, please leave them in the comments. Yeah. We may not get to all of them that time, but we hope to get to most of them.
And I'm sorry about the crash out. I just...
Stop using this channel as a sort of validation. I mean, if you want validation, you can just go to your grandma's house.
Anyways, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or any theories about this new thing that's coming out soon, please kindly leave them down below.
Or theories about the things we've discussed so far, like the current state of the Sonic Mystery Villain, whether it is or isn't Starline.
And about all the other things we talked about. If you have any opinions on Surge, or Alastor, or Jax, or Kane, or anything like that. And I hope you also... And if you want to see more of the podcasts, leave a comment down below saying, please bring in more podcasts or something like that.
Yeah.
Alright, that's it. See ya.
See ya.